Hey guys, it's Neutron Performance just coming back at you again. It's been a while since I posted a video, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on the first gen. So we ended up doing a bunch of changes. As you can see now, we got an intake manifold on the car because the ITBs that were on there were just too big for the setup, so I didn't want to go back into the motor and do cams and all that stuff. It was a really confusing process, and you know, in the beginning I thought it might have been the cylinder head that might have been bad or cracked, but we had a major vacuum leak that we were having trouble trying to find. We tested and we smoke tested everything and nothing. The biggest vacuum leak that we had were the ITBs, and they were 72 millimeter ITBs. So you know, those of you that want to go big ITBs, and just make sure that you're running the correct setup in the engine to do so, because if the engine's not properly set up for the ITBs, it's not going to run. It's not going to run right. So at this point, I really don't care, you know, to make 300 horsepower. I just want it. I mean, if it made 250, honestly, I'd be ecstatic. So I ended up putting the Sheepy Race radiator back on, because the half size radiator that we got from Speed Factory was just too tall, and it would hit the intake manifold here, and I'd have to move it forward. But in order for me to move it forward, I'd have to cut into the front bumper more, and the header panel that goes across the headlights here on the, you know, on the top of the core support. I'd have to cut into that, and I didn't want to do that. So other than that, we ended up installing the remote battery terminals right here. I ended up doing those the other night. Ran all my cables, wired in the fans. As you can see now, we got the battery behind the front bumper. Today I had planned that I was going to go ahead and install the kill switch, but I'm undecided on where I'm going to install it. I have been thinking about installing it right here, but the problem is I really don't want to drill into the top of this thing, because if I ever do decide to put the cowl, the panel here back on, then I'd have to move this again, and I'm just tired of doing things on this car. Everything on this car has kind of like been trial and error, and I'm just tired of doing things twice, 3 and 4 times over and over again. So we are gonna get this right this time, even if it takes us longer than we want it to. So I've kind of been thinking on putting the kill switch somewhere on the back of the car. Maybe on the back bumper, somewhere here or over here on the side. I think on the side would be ideal, because there isn't anything on this side, I don't believe. And I could run my, oh yeah, there is. I don't know, guys, I'd have to get up under there and really take a look at what's going on between there. They're gonna make a more educated decision on that. But you know, somewhere on the back of the car is what I really want, because that way I don't have to touch it again, you know, because nothing's ever gonna go on back here. You know, everything back here is stock, and it's gonna stay that way. And that way I don't have to move it if I ever have to, you know, I wouldn't have to touch it again. So that's basically the plan. Other than that, guys, we're waiting on some parts still. What are we waiting on? Waiting on so the cable to hydro conversion. So I ended up ordering the version 3 EF cable to hydro conversion kit from Hush Performance, and from what people have been telling me is the measurements are very similar. It's not all that far off, you know, between the clutch pedal assembly on the EF versus the AF chassis clutch pedal assembly. So it's, from what they told me, you're able to make it work. So that's what I'm going to do. I ended up doing a cable to hydro conversion already, but again, we're going back here to trial and error. Everything's been hit and miss with this build, because there's no aftermarket support. So I made my own cable to hydro conversion, but whenever I'm running a twin disc in this car, and so whenever you depress the clutch pedal, it's flexing the master cylinder that's underneath where the dash would be. It's flexing back and forth. I mean, it's not flexing a whole lot, but it is flexing enough to where it's causing an issue when you're trying to go into second gear. You know, you're trying to power shift into second gear. It's like just that little bit of flex is causing a problem. You know, I thought the clutch needed adjustment. It's not, you know, it's not the master cylinder that needs to be adjusted. It's the fact that we're getting a little bit of flex under there, and it's causing a problem. Once you get out of second gear, you know, it's fine. But, you know, that's because you're going into higher gear. You know what I mean? But that first to second shift, you know, at high RPMs is a problem. And it's not the transmission, it's not the synchros that's bad. It's definitely the fact that there's flexing going on with the conversion that I did, and the reason for that is the material that I ended up using for it. I made it out of 16 gauge steel, and it's just, I thought at the time that it was going to be fine, but it's just way too thin. It's not thick enough to keep it from flexing. So other than that, we're waiting on the rest of the fuel system from Aeroflow Performance over in Australia. I ordered that over 2 weeks ago. Let me show you the fuel cell that I got. So we're going with a 12 gallon ATL fuel cell, and it fits, as you can see, it fits nicely in the spare tire well of the CRX. The only thing I got to do is I got to make some straps. I'm thinking I'm gonna end up going from here, from the rear body panel around, and then bolting it to the other side. That way I don't get any forward movement, you know, hitting the brakes and stuff, just to keep it from sliding back and forth. And then unstrap that'd go up top here, probably right over the top of the white letters here, and then bolt it down through the floor on both sides, and that'll keep it from moving for sure. But I haven't installed the fuel pump and stuff because I'm waiting on the fuel lines and stuff to get here before I start doing that. Because again, I don't want to have to mount the fuel pump, and then when the fuel system gets here, you know, because of the hose and fittings or whatever, it's the location of where I mounted the fuel pump, it's just not going to work. So I got to take it back out and then relocate it so it works with the fuel lines. All right. Other than that, one other thing that I'm planning on doing is getting ready to potentially get rid of this hood exit. So there's an exhaust manifold that I found that looks like it's gonna go ahead and work. So I'm gonna go ahead and order that. That should be here in a couple days, and once we get the new manifold, we're gonna go ahead and make us a new bracket for the rear engine mount, so that way I could get some more ground clearance, because the bracket that I have underneath there now is just, I mean, it works, but it does take away some ground clearance. So just to correct that, I made one already for another guy in the first gen CRX community, and it's a great design. There's a couple of corrections that we need to make to his bracket, like shorten it so that the dog bone from Hassport has a 45-degree angle on it. Because first time I made it, I sent it to him. Basically, I fabricated it so that the dog bone is facing straight up and down, and under engine load, it's still letting the engine move a little bit. So we got to put an angle on the dog bone so it doesn't move. But yeah, guys, that's it. Just kind of wanted to give you guys an update on what's been going on with the car. Once we get the fuel system in, I'm thinking what I'm going to end up doing is, once we get the fuel system, I am going to put everything together and get it tuned before we make any further changes. Once we get the car retuned the way it is, then we'll come back, remove the exhaust manifold, the hood exit, redesign, make us a new rear engine bracket, and make other changes, you know, all the little odds and ends that we need to take care of, and then we could go racing. All right. Appreciate it, guys. Sorry about the delay. I know I haven't posted a video in a long time, but 2020 has been a pretty rough year, and we're just trying to make it a day at a time here. Hasn't been easy, and then trying to allocate money to this is while being able to pay the bills and stuff is definitely not easy. All right, guys, I appreciate it. If you like the video, if you like the build, if you like the car, you know, like the video, subscribe. If you don't like it, thumbs down. If you don't like me, thumbs down. You know, whatever, everything's appreciated. And see y'all in the next video. Peace.